Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It's Tuesday, November 27th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, and Andrew McGinnis will be with us momentarily as well as we break down a Tuesday NHL card. I hope everyone south of the border enjoyed their Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Let's get right to it. San Jose Buffalo kicking off the card in the below. We've got San Jose minus 120, minus 125 road favorites in this game. The total 5.5, 6, depending on where you shop here in this game from a total standpoint. What can you say about the Buffalo Sabres on an incredible 9-game winning streak that is on the line tonight in this game as they take on the San Jose Sharks? Tremendous run. And I've talked ad nauseum about how their top line's been phenomenal during this run. Eichel with Pominville and Skinner. And Skinner's got to be the hottest player or one of in the NHL right now. He has just been incredible offensively, goal scoring production, pretty much game in and game out. Buffalo's just found ways to win. They've won games where they've been leading wire to wire. They've won games where they fell behind and came back to win. Carter Hutton's given them the saves they need. There's a lot to like here about this Buffalo team, and I'm taking them here in this spot, even though San Jose, you would think, is going to come out of here with a good effort tonight. They got absolutely shellacked, embarrassed, so to speak, by the Vegas Golden Knights over the weekend. Very poor performance by them. That's definitely a concern. But I read something on Twitter. Actually, I found this. I don't know that someone is obviously kept track of it. Teams that are in Vegas playing the Golden Knights in their very next game, they're 0-9 this season. That is some kind of stat. 0-9, and obviously San Jose falls into that little category here after playing in Vegas in their last game. So teams coming off a game not playing Vegas altogether, just in Vegas. 0-9 in the next game after being in Vegas playing the Golden
City, baby.
I'm telling you what, hangover city, exactly. You have too much fun and you're not ready to go the next time. But that's not all. I mean, it's got nothing, not so much it helps my case, but it's just the Buffalo's playing well. They got a decent price here. They're a slight home dog, plus 100. I'll take. And again, San Jose, they're not playing great still. They're still finding ways to just, not look all that cohesive. Defensively, I think they've left a lot to be desired at times. So there's definitely some concerns I've got with them moving forward. Just no consistency really from the San Jose Sharks team. It's been an issue for them all season long. But going to ride the hot hand here, so to speak. Take the Buffalo Sabres here plus 100. You've won 9 in a row. You've got the confidence that regardless of the situation, you can win any game you play. That's the way I'm going to go there. San Jose, Buffalo will take Buffalo plus 105, plus 111. Is the best price out there at Heritage Sports. So decent price. I mean, a team that's finding ways to win. San Jose, again, I would think is going to play well tonight. It's not going to be a pushover, obviously, for Buffalo. San Jose's good. They're off a bad loss. But again, that 0-9 stat, teams that are playing in Vegas against the Golden Knights in their next game this season, they're 0-9. And then San Jose falls into that here. So I like Buffalo to keep the streak going and hit double digits if they win tonight. 10 wins in a row it would be for this Sabres team. We've got Ottawa with no line side or total in this game. Ottawa, of course, playing last night, 4-2 Rangers victory, a very weird hockey game as we were talking about off air. Weird bounces, a lot of posts in that game. Very unfortunate if you had the over in that game. We've been riding this Ottawa. Finally, an Ottawa game stays under, and it's by the skin of their teeth. 10-2 still to the over on the road this season. 17-5 to the over overall this season for this Ottawa Senators team. And to hell with that game staying under. I'll be right back on that over tonight. I love the over situation here in this game tonight because you got Philadelphia with GM Ron Hextall getting fired. They're gonna come out storming tonight, you would think, after that debacle against Toronto, an Ottawa defense that still can't defend all that well. I'm reading stuff about how Guy Boucher says we're changing the lines. We need to get better defensive presence on every line. I didn't see it last night from the New York Rangers or from Ottawa. New York Rangers could add 5 or 6, 7 goals if they wanted in that game. I didn't see much improvement at all from Ottawa on the defensive side of the puck. Philadelphia, after Hextall getting fired, the GM, they realize, hey, some changes are going to be made if we don't step up. I think they come out firing tonight. Again, they got totally embarrassed, humiliated by the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday. And guess what? We could see Mike McKenna in that. Guy Boucher was hinting that McKenna could get a start. Anderson needs a rest. I mean, he's seen more rubber than a dirt road lately for this Ottawa Senators team. I mean, he needs a rest. He needs a break. I mean, this defense is terrible in front of him. He's got to face 30, 40 shots every night. I think you're going to see McKenna, the old veteran, in tonight. It's a good chance you see that anyway. And if you see his numbers this season, over a 5 goals against average, that's going to give you some confidence in Mike McKenna going into this game tonight if he gets that start. And for Philadelphia, it's a Russian roulette of goalies. Lyon, maybe. Pickard, maybe. Stolars, maybe. Can any of them play? Maybe not. That's the problem for the Philadelphia Flyers right now. Stolars, Lyon, and Pickard are your options, with Elliott and Neuwirth still out, and none of them give you consistent goaltending or goaltending that you can trust right now. And of course, as we've seen from Ottawa this season, they can't keep the puck out of their own net, but they sure as hell can score goals. Top 10 team in the league in terms of goals per game. So I'm going to stay out of the side. I'd probably have to play Philadelphia in this spot, but I don't know there'll be a value on the Flyers. We'll have to see where this number comes out, but obviously Ottawa back-to-back on the road. Flyers after the GM change and a terrible outing against Toronto. You would think it's a great Flyers spot. Would only play the Flyers here in this game from a side perspective. Definitely interested in that total, looking over the total. We'll see where it comes out. I would expect 6.5. Ottawa has been a 6.5 total team the last few games. I would expect that here, but that's not going to scare me off that over, because I think we've got a chance to see a big-time goal fest here tonight in Philadelphia, especially when you think the Flyers are going to come out, I think, firing pucks left and right at the net after a terrible game against Toronto and the GM being removed. Let's go to Jimmy Murphy. He's involved with this game. Senators and Flyers tonight in Philly. Jimmy, what do you like here?
Yeah, and actually, I did have some action in the other game, too, there, the Sharks and Sabres. I like the under 6 in that Sharks-Sabres. I'm with you on this game with the over. I love the over in this. You mentioned the goaltending merry-go-round in Philly is always a good lock for an over there. And then the fact, they're going to come out hopefully woken up from that fire in Ron Hextall. We were just talking about that off the air. That kind of took me by surprise. I didn't see him going. Not his fault that it's a goaltending cemetery in Philly for the last 40 years. But I like the Flyers puck line in this too as well. I'm going to take the you can get some good numbers for that. I like the Flyers puck line. I could see them coming out as a motivated bunch tonight. Ottawa's coming off a loss, and they, like you said, there's something missing with that team, and it has been for a while, and they're a mess. So I like the Flyers puck line and the over here.
All right, Flyers puck line and over for Jimmy Murphy with the Senators and the Flyers. This is on Andrew's card as well. We welcome Andrew, who's now joining us on the show. Sens Flyers. Andrew, what do you like in this game tonight?
Yeah, good morning, guys. And yeah, you know what? I just think the odds are just way, way too crappy. I mean, to look at this one. If I was going to look at this one realistically, I understand there's just been such a goaltending mismatch with Philadelphia, who's going to be in net each night, but also looking at Ottawa. Like you mentioned, Ian, I agree with you. Every night, guys, you look at that starting goaltender and you pretty much can almost lock it in, guarantee it's going to be Craig Anderson. I mean, pretty much every single night it's Craig Anderson out there. So it looks like we're going to see him get the night off. So to me, that causes some worries, but I don't think at this point, I've liked to look at Philadelphia, and I agree with Jimmy that if you're going to look at them, definitely look at the puck line. But 5 Dimes has them listed at minus 250 favorites right now in this contest. To me, that's just far too high of a price, far too much to really lay for this team, especially with the amount of goals that Ottawa can score. But look, last night I had a small little piece, little McDonald's money on the under in that game at Ottawa, and finally a little under cash. I mean, I just thought it was about time for that to happen. And I think in this one, we're seeing, a 6.5, also a 7 number at Bovada and Heritage. A couple books here have the total opening up. And, it's always funny. I've been telling you guys that I've been trying to look for reasons to take these unders, 6.5s, especially a rare 7. I mean, I think it's one of those kind of things right now, guys, where you got to look at a team. What are they trying to improve? What are they trying to work on? And I think the only thing this Ottawa team has to get better at is being more closed in, make the ice smaller, and try and play as more of a team in their own end. Because as we all know, like you mentioned, they're a team that can get off in the rush, can execute, can score in the power play. But it's really the most transition style stuff, off the breakaway or something like that. It's really causing them the most problems. So for me, I'm going to kind of go against the public here and think that, one, Ottawa can actually get the job done with decent plus money, and 2, even though this Ottawa team is such a good high-scoring team, I think as the game fully progresses, especially laying some juice with under 7, I would gladly take that. And I've said this before, and I think it's worked before as well. I think an over in the first period could hit, laying some juice with the 1.5, but it's a stretch for 6.5, 7 goals in my opinion. So maybe a really fast start, but 7 goals is still a lot of goals.
Well, if it's 7, I'll be out. I won't be betting an over if it's 7 across the board. If it's 6.5, I'll be on the over. And I'll be on it for sure if Mike McKenna's in net. That's the key to this. If we get a McKenna's, that guy's got a 5 what is it? 5. That's so bad, it's ridiculous. I mean, what's he got? A 5.41 goals against, 862 save percentage. That's not good. That's not good considering you would expect from a Flyers standpoint. They come out just firing. Firing pucks left and right. I mean, they got embarrassed. They got the GM fired. They come out strong. Mike McKenna, if he's in net, I don't know if he's shutting that door, especially with patchwork defense in front of him. So we'll see. But yeah, 7 would be as much as I think Ottawa's an over team. 7 would price me out of the equation.
Minus 130 for 6.5 on the over. Then also Heritage has a 7 listed up right now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're not getting any bargains. And the Philadelphia Flyers aren't exactly a defensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination either. So that's why you're getting a very, very expensively rated total in this game. We've got Carolina, Montreal. Next game on the card here, we've got Montreal minus 110, minus 115, the total 5.5, 6, depending on where you look. And of course, Montreal's going to get Shea Weber back for the very first time this season. It's about time Shea Weber returned to this lineup here for the Montreal Canadiens. He's finally back in there. That's definitely something that they are very happy to see, without a doubt, no question. We'll see how that affects them going into this game here tonight against Carolina. Carolina all of a sudden starting to, as Curtis McElhinney, they found their goalie, maybe at least for now, and he's been solid for the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's give him credit. Curtis McElhinney, of course, former Leaf, former Blue Jacket. He's been around the block with this team, no question about that. But now being given the opportunity to really get start in, start out, the opportunity to be a net for this Carolina team, and he's making the most of it here for Rod Brind'Amour and his squad. And Hurricanes starting to turn things around. They had a really, really rough run for a period of time there, but started to turn it around. And really, it coincided with that loss to Columbus. It coincided with them giving Curtis McElhinney each and every start recently, and it's paid off well for them. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. They did drop their last game against the Islanders 4-1. Remember, that was a game where it was a Friday to Saturday turnaround for the Carolina Hurricanes. They played at home, Florida. They played the Islanders the very next night. It was a little bit of a tricky turnaround for them in that game. We'll see how they fare here against Montreal. Montreal skidding. There's no question about that. 4 straight losses for Montreal. We were waiting. Is this team going to go on a long losing streak for the very first time? Well, they're in one for the first time. We'll see if they can get out of it. But they were competitive in most of the losses. Overtime loss to Washington, overtime loss to Buffalo, 1-goal loss to Boston. So it's not like they're playing horribly. They're in these games. They have a chance to win them, just not finding a way to win. The offense has cooled off a little bit. I still think Carey Price can raise his game to another level. I think he's been okay at times recently. I think he can be better. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm not involved in this one either, side or total. Montreal may be an emotional boost of some kind, getting the veteran Shea Weber back. We'll see how that impacts them in this game. But for me, no side or total wagers with this game, Hurricanes and the Habs. Let's get to Jimmy. This is on his card, Carolina, Montreal. Jimmy, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I'm liking the Habs in this, guys. I mean, I was up in Montreal for the Bruins Habs on Saturday night, and the Bruins won that game, but that was still a great game back and forth. And I thought the Habs played a pretty solid game there to stay in it and tie it. And if not for a Drouin idiotic penalty at the end, they might have won that game. So you look at them right now. I'm with you. Price could up at a level, and I think he will. I always have faith in him, and I think he will take it to the next level soon. I agree with you. Carolina's playing better right now, but at the same time, the impact of having Weber back tonight, I think, will really boost this Habs squad. I could see them going on a nice little run just from that alone, and the mental motivation that brings, seeing that guy on the bench with you and what he does on the ice. So I like the Habs in this one.
All right, Jimmy, like in Montreal, they get the job done at home here against Carolina. And obviously, we know Andrew McGinnis, in terms of the ice, guys, the resident Montreal Canadiens fan. We'll see what he thinks about his team's chances tonight taking on the Hurricanes. Andrew, do they get it done?
I think they do. And I haven't talked about them too much as far as, wins go and strong bets and that I really, really like them on this year so far. But this is a spot that I do like. And I think it's important, guys. And as far as my handicapping goes, I like to mention this. It's important to look at a larger scale, not just a small scale, but how a team's competing overall. And I've been looking at this Carolina team, and you really notice that, first of all, they have really bad starts in games. They don't get off to – they're always a team that's trailing. They're always a team that has to really pressure in the third period, late in the game. I've probably seen them more than any other team have the goalie pulled with 4 or 5 minutes to go, and it's worked for them sometimes. And they've really come alive. I believe last week they came back down 2-0, won 3-2. I can't remember who was against, but this is the team that really knows how to power it on. But let's take a look here. I mean, their last game against the Islanders, they lost 4-1. You know, a couple wins together. A couple games before that, they lose 4-1 again to Columbus. You know, they lose 4-1 to St. Louis. I mean, looking down their schedule, guys, when I'm just looking at this, preparing to talk about this game, for me, I just simplify it and say this team's not competing in all their games. I mean, you could say that, hey, look, yeah, okay, Montreal's not really coming close. They're just getting there. But I mean, they're losing, 3-2 to Buffalo, 3-2 to Boston. You know, these really, really close games, even 6-5 to Buffalo again, like all these close matchups means that they're almost there. They're competing. And from what I've been talking about, guys, is the depth that I love about this Montreal team. And some of you could just look at me and say, what's this guy talking about, depth for the Canadiens? But it's true. I mean, you don't really know which line's going to come to life. You don't really know which line's going to step things up. It's going to be, the Charles Hudon line, the Lehkonen show, or Shaw, Domi, Drouin, Gallagher. You don't know who's going to come to life here. And I think that I'm not usually always one of those hype beasts that likes to say, oh, a player's coming back like Weber, so it's going to come to life. The new Habs team's going to come out. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's going to be, the sky is falling, Shea Weber's back, but I do think it's a big deal. I mean, I think it's over exactly, I think it's 368 days, they said, 300-some days where Shea Weber's even played a game, been on the ice out there, making an impactful play and making a difference for this Habs team. So at least having him out there, one, just as a physical presence, two, they gave him the C. This is the captain of this team. He hasn't played in the game. I mean, obviously Gallagher in an interview said, this guy's been an important factor in the locker room. He's meant a lot to us, but you can only say so much as a player, regarding your teammate, captain. If he's not out there on the ice with you, he has to be out there. He'll be out there in the power play, getting some goals again, I think. And, overall, I think the Habs had to step it up. I mean, we talked about how this team had a great start for sure. They were putting up goals. Their team has kind of changed their identity. They can score now. But as far as defensively, they got to get back to just pushing the pace, staying a fast team. And Claude Julien hopefully doesn't fall back into that defensive mindset. But, you get around plus 100, you get around minus 105. I would take this Habs team tonight. I'd also look at the over.
All right, Habs in the over against Carolina. Yeah, to see if they can get the job done tonight and maybe get some goals too. As good as McElhinney is, is he going to keep putting up a brick wall every night? We'll see. Montreal. Though, yeah, I would think Montreal is going to give you a pretty decent run here. Carolina's been playing much better hockey lately. No question. Can't take them lightly. But Montreal, I think, it sets up decently for them, considering Weber gets back, a little boost, maybe a chance to, lift the spirits a bit for a team that's mired in a little bit of a 4-game slump right now. Next, we've got Anaheim, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 240, the total 5.5, 6 across the board right now. Tampa Bay is just sizzling offensively at this point in time. I mean, they have been just pretty much good they have now gone on a streak of 10 of their last 12 games, 4 goals or more for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So this team is just absolutely putting the puck in the net, finding the back of the net with relative ease right now, with regularity. 5-on-5, their production's been great. Power play, their production's been great, and especially at home, they have been absolutely lighting the lamp repeatedly. That's going to be probably some trouble here for Tampa Bay, for Anaheim in this game, who obviously a team that I've not been impressed with all that much, not playing great right now themselves. 2-4 their last 4 games. The only wins were against a depleted, injury-riddled, struggling Vancouver team, and a 2-1 overtime win against Edmonton that they literally stole. I mean, they were down 1-0 in the final seconds, tied that game, and then won in overtime. So those are the 2 wins for Anaheim, their last 6 games. This is a team that's obviously, I don't trust them going into Tampa, shutting down this high-powered Lightning team the way they're lighting it up right now. And lighting it up is an understatement. I mean, this team offensively is getting the job done big time right now. The Ducks have struggled lifetime against the Lightning, especially lately. 1-5 the last 6 trips to Tampa, 2-6 the last 8 meetings against them. Still banged up on the back back end with Hampus Lindholm and Cam Fowler out due to injuries. Now, Tampa Bay, what's been impressive is that they've managed to keep scoring with Andre Palat out. Steven Stamkos was some concern he may not go, but he's been upgraded to probable with that upper body injury, but they expect it's not going to keep him out of the lineup. He'll be able to play in this hockey game tonight, but we'll see how it goes here. But Anaheim, to me, asking a lot to go into Tampa, win this game, and shut down this team. Obviously, with a John Gibson in net, you've got a chance. He's probably going to have to stand on his head, have one of those tremendous performances where maybe he steals one for the Anaheim Ducks tonight. But boy, they're up against it with the way the Lightning are absolutely rolling right now. But obviously, it's reflected in the price. So I'm going to go over the total actually in this game, just because the key is, can Anaheim score goals for you? Against Louis Domingue, they can pot a couple. I think they can. We saw New Jersey put a couple goals in against Louis Domingue. Louis Domingue's solid. He's actually been okay, but he's a big drop-off still from Andre Vasilevsky. I think that goes without saying. And Anaheim, I think, can find the back of the net in this game tonight. So nothing on the side, but I do like the total, over the total. I got to ride Tampa over now at 5, and especially with the 5.5 still out there in this game. They're just way too potent right now at the offensive end to pass up that kind of value from a totals perspective. Jimmy Murphy, you've got something here on this game, Ducks and the Lightning, and I think you've got a little bit of a, but do you think could be a little bit of a live dog here? Is that true?
Yeah. I don't. You know what? You have to listen to what you just said about that game. Everyone's gonna be like, "What is Jimmy thinking?" But I don't know what I'm thinking. But I got a hunch on this game tonight. I don't know why. Like I said, like you said, everything's going well for Tampa. But if you look at their season, well, of course they're in first place. I know they do it. They're having a great season, but at the same time, there's been times where they seem like they're about to go on a real long run and really just take off from the rest of the pack there, and they don't. And I just see this game as a trap game, a game they can overlook right now. And like you said, Anaheim doesn't bring much to the table, and they're not really an exciting team to talk about. And that's why, to me, it just seems like one of these sleepy games that Tampa could come into and be, taken aback, and before they know it, they lose the game. And I think I'm just feeling, as I told you guys off air, I'm just going to ride my hot luck here with going 10 for 10 in my NFL picks on Sunday. So who knows? Maybe I steal a dog here. I like the Ducks, though, in this. I think they could sneak up on the Lightning.
All right, Anaheim, you know what? That's right. Complacency. Does complacency set? It's just been such a run. They've been rolling for so long. Tampa Bay, maybe complacency sets in. Now you're playing outside the conference. You don't usually have that same maybe focus or intensity that you would for a division foe or a team that you're battling with inside the conference. That's always a possibility. And again, Anaheim, how excited is Tampa going to get playing Anaheim? We'll see tonight. Good news for Anaheim, at least, is that their captain, Ryan Getzlaf's really started to come on. He's had 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists in his last 4 games, and he had a slow start to the season, was banged up for a bit as well, but starting to get things going for Anaheim, and definitely they need him to be a force offensively, be a physical presence as well, do all of that stuff for this team to be solid and for this team to be better than they've been so far to this point. Next up, we've got Arizona taking on Minnesota. We've got Minnesota minus 185 here, home favorites, total 5.5 across the board. Minnesota Wild for the most part this season, and we'll finally get Alex B. Smith in on the show in a few minutes. He knows this. They've been very good at home. This season. They've been a very good home team. 8-2-1 is the home record for the Minnesota Wild, and they're playing solid hockey, especially here at the XL Energy Center. I still don't trust this group quite as much on the road, and that's definitely proven in the record so far. They've been a much worse road team, the Minnesota Wild, than they've been at home, but they've taken care of business here at home. Part of me wants to really, really take Arizona here because this is the price I like Arizona in. They're a scrappy team. They're a hard out most nights. They're getting a great price here. They've played Minnesota tough in recent meetings. Antti Ranta's back, but Antti Ranta hasn't looked good since he's come back from that injury. I don't know what it is. Maybe the being out for so long has affected him. I don't know. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, even though Arizona keeps saying he is. Something's wrong because he's not playing anywhere like he did before his absence. He's struggled. He got pulled the other night with a tough performance that he had in net in his last start against the Calgary Flames. An absolute blowout loss for the Arizona Coyotes in that game against the Calgary team that's absolutely surging right now. No shame in that, but obviously a little bit of shame in losing by the type of margin you lost in that game. it smells like a really good bounce back. You would think you get a pretty good all hands on deck effort here from Arizona. Question is, can Ronta turn it around? He hasn't looked good in really any start since he's been back, and I can't figure out why, because this guy was just a tremendous pillar of strength in net for the Coyotes early in the season before he got injured. The John Chayka, the GM of this team, shaking things up, by the way, trading away Dylan Strome. Remember, Dylan Strome was a first-round draft pick of the Arizona Coyotes. And traded him away to the Blackhawks. We'll see how that impacts this lineup moving forward. But I don't think it's a trade that you can just absolutely hammer Chayka for. I mean, Strome's underachieved. It's taken him forever to get to the NHL for a guy that was drafted as high. Remember, this guy was drafted right behind or just right in front of, actually, Mitch Marner. It was either right in front of or right behind Mitch Marner. And I think we're finding out already who the better pick was and who the better player was of those two, Mitch Marner or Dylan Strome. Tough decision there. Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle for Dylan Strome. It hasn't worked out well so far. It's been a slow start to his career with a guy with a lot of potential, a lot of upside, and it hasn't really panned out for him just yet. So we'll see if a change of scenery brings that here to him traded out of Arizona. I'm going to look long and hard at take. I'm going to recommend it anyway, Arizona at the plus price. I think after getting embarrassed by Calgary, I've got reservations still about Ronta, and that really does concern me. So does Minnesota's play, on home ice. It's been very, very good. Back-to-back home wins against Winnipeg and Ottawa, 6-4 and 4-2. They came from behind to beat the Jets, remember. They were down 2-0 in that game. And also, too, from a scheduling perspective, works out quite well for Minnesota. They've actually been off for 3 days in between these games. So a lot of rest for the Wild coming into this game, and they are 3-1 with extended rest. So there's some concerns here going against Minnesota, but it's reflected in the price, and I think you get a great effort from Arizona tonight off the bad loss. So I'm still willing to roll the dice here. Take Arizona at the plus 165 price tonight against the Minnesota Wild. Just have my fingers crossed that hopefully Antti Raanta bounces back and shows more of the form that he did pre-injury early in the season as opposed to since he's been back. Alex B. Smith will finally get him on the conversation. Arizona, Minnesota. Alex, what do you like in this game here?
I'm going opposite with you on this one. I'm actually looking at Minnesota, but I'm not going to pull the trigger on it just yet because I want to see what's going on in net for the Wild tonight. Devin Dubnyk didn't play last game because of an illness, and now it says that his backup Alex Stalock is going to miss this game for personal reasons. Not sure what that's all about. So I want to figure out if it means if Andrew Hammond, the Hamburger, is going to get called up from Iowa, or if Dubnyk's feeling okay to start. So that lends a little credence to your pick with Arizona. But this Minnesota team is playing much better than Arizona. As you look at Arizona, like losing 8 of their last 10, getting blown out in back-to-back games, and they got a Wild team that's rested, feeling pretty good about themselves, playing great hockey, and they're at home. It's going to be a big crowd tonight. From what I checked, and I was actually kind of looking at going in this game. I think there's going to be not a lot of tickets left, and that's a big difference to where it was 2 weeks ago before they went on that road trip. There were all kind of tickets available, so the buzz is back around town. And the players really reflect on that. They feel that here in the area. So, like I said, they're feeling good. They're playing well. This Arizona team, I don't really trust Arizona. At any point really. They've gone on some nice runs, but if Ronta, who's basically their MVP in my opinion, if he's not getting things rolling, then and like I said, playing in a partially hostile environment with a team that's getting their offense rolling, I can't back Arizona here, but definitely want to wait and check the reports on the goaltending issues with Minnesota before pulling anything on the Wild.
All right, and Minnesota, obviously, Alex looking at the puck line here with Minnesota in this game. When considering who the goalies are first, we'll see where that Minnesota goes with that in terms of their goaltending for this game. All right, next up we've got Colorado-Nashville. Very interesting playoff rematch again between these two teams. We've got Nashville minus 145, total 6 shaded to the under. In this game, they have already played once, and that was earlier this season. Nashville won in Colorado, so playoff revenge denied for Colorado in that game, which is why you can't blindly bet that angle. It doesn't always work. But Nashville, again, continuing to play very, very good. Going to be a tough team to beat come playoff time. What's been impressive is they've had some key absences from this hockey team, and they've still found ways to get the job done. Subban's been out, Arvidsson's been out, but no problem. The Predators just keep on doing their thing, getting the job done. Colorado, though, really has turned it up the last week or so, played some really, really solid hockey, the Avalanche. We know they've got arguably the best line in hockey. I mean, there's a bunch of teams that can make the case for best top line in the sport. Colorado's one of those teams with Rantanen, Landeskog, and McKinnon. It goes without saying. And it goes without saying just how good they've been, how much chemistry they've had. And they're finding ways to score right now. I mean, this Colorado team really on a great run, 4 straight wins, 6-1 in their last 7 games. And the only loss was in overtime against the defending champs, 3-2 in overtime. That's the only loss for Colorado during that stretch. We've got Nashville obviously playing great. Nashville has had their way with Colorado. There's no question about that. They've won 8 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams. If you include that playoff series, I'm kind of trying to give some consideration to Colorado here, but it's just so difficult. Nashville at home. Nashville's just been so fantastic at home. Colorado scoring goals. They've scored 4, 7, 5, and 3 goals in their last 4 games, finding the back of the net here. And doing a pretty good job of it. I think they got a chance tonight. And again, Colorado's going to Colorado's. You don't have to ask Colorado to get up to play the Nashville Predators. I mean, it's a team that knocked them out in the playoffs last year in the first round, and I think you get a good enough effort from them that I think they got a chance to pull off this win tonight in Nashville. Will they? It's not going to be easy. We know the Predators are arguably the best team in the Western Conference. They probably are. In my opinion, not going to be easy, but I might try a chance here with Colorado here. There are a couple dogs that, Jimmy's big dog is Anaheim that he thinks could pull off a little surprise tonight. Mine could be Colorado here. I mean, they're playing good. If you're going to beat Nashville finally, now's the time. You're playing good. You're confident. You're rolling. There's a team now that you really want to get after. You didn't beat them earlier in the previous regular season meeting. They beat you in the playoffs last year. I think Colorado's got a chance here. Varlamov's been solid as well in net. I think they got a chance. I'll bite here with the Avalanche here at a plus price in Nashville, even though it's never easy to win in Music City. This is on Andrew's card, Colorado, Nashville. Andrew, what do you like in this game tonight?
Yeah, I might as well just second it with you, Ian, there. I mean, for me, what I plan on talking about wasn't really the side, but I mean, Preds have won 15 of their last 17 versus the Avalanche, and there's a time for them to turn it around. I think today is the time. I think the Colorado's looked good these days. It looks sharp. They actually looked surprisingly deep, but I mean, we can still kind of say that top line has still been their bread and butter. Up there is definitely one of the top best 3 pairings guys in the league, really. I mean, you got to love what they produce, and it seems to me like it's a nightly basis, consistent thing out of these guys, whether it's actually on the stat sheet or just making great plays on both sides of the ice. So for me, I'm going to take a look at the total, guys. I mean, I've looked at this. I've talked about this numerous times. I think that, Ian, you and I used to speak about this quite a bit, but I think that the way the game has changed, where a lot of times in really tight contested matchups between 2 rivals, a lot of times you look at the over. But I think in these 2 teams, specifically the Nashville Predators, a team that I always talk about having so much, center depth throughout their entire lineup and so many guys that can score. But you got to also think about the guys like Yossi, Ellis, Ekholm, Hamhuis. These guys, not only are they good defenders as far as moving the puck up the ice, they are rock solid defense. And I think that in games like this, their coach instructs them to be a little bit more solid, a little bit more, prevent, a little more cautious. And I think that's what, stems an under in this series. I mean, 4-0 in the last 4 meetings, guys, between these 2 teams. I think they're both trending towards the under, over the past couple weeks, realistically, in spots where the public is hammering the over. So these 2 teams, they're so talented, and they've got some guys that can be so dangerous. But when you look at the matchups between these 2 teams and the way they're going to come together tonight, I think the under streak really does continue, and we're going to get 5 in a row in the last 5 between these 2 teams. And you're getting just around, minus 110, minus 115, 2 solid goaltenders that can really change a game for both teams. So if this one gets off to a slow start, I really like an under in this one as well.
Yeah, and Colorado has defended well. I mean, you look at it lately. I mean, 1 goal allowed to Arizona, 2 goals allowed to Dallas. So again, and Varlamov's been good. You look at Varlamov, every stat for Varlamov's a good stat. His goals against is good. His save percentage is good. His advanced metric stat used for goalies right now, goals saved above average. That's GSAA, very good. And that tells you that he's making difficult saves, not just saves. He's making the difficult saves more often than not. And that's when you have that plus sign and a good plus number with your GSAA, that means your metric numbers are saying that you're not only making saves, you're making the really tough saves as well. the grade A scoring chances. You're stopping a lot of those, and Varlamov is doing that. Whereas a guy like, say, Scott Darling at the other end of the totem pole, he's not making those difficult saves. So that's why he's got a negative GSAA number. So that's how that stat is measured. It's a great stat, and most of the advanced metric hockey websites that track those advanced stats have that, and it's a great one to use to truly evaluate, get a really good sense of which goalies are really truly playing well and which ones are maybe fool's gold. Jimmy Murphy, he has something too with the Avs and the Predators. Jimmy, go ahead.
I'm right with Andrew on this. Keep that under going between these two teams. I just see a tight defensive battle between them for a lot of the reasons Andrew said there. But just, these division rivals, these teams tend to get real physical with each other as well. Space is hard to come by in it, and you got two good goaltenders as well. So I like the under a lot in this one.
All right, Jimmy involved with the under as well. Colorado and Nashville. Pittsburgh, Winnipeg. Next game, Winnipeg minus 145, home favorites. The total 6 shaded to the over. In this game, we've got one team, the Winnipeg Jets, playing pretty good for the most part. They had a little blip on the radar against Minnesota, coughed up a third period lead, much to my chagrin. But boy, they bounced back strong on Saturday night against the St. Louis Blues. Fantastic. Just pummeled the Blues in that game, got out to a lead. Just an incredible night for Patrick Laine. I mean, that was something special. 8-4 win. He scores 5 of the 8 goals for the Winnipeg Jets. A 5-goal performance from Patrick Laine. Just absolutely scintillating stuff from him. And really, a lot of his goals weren't cheapies. They were good goals. They were great shots. That great patented Patrick Laine quick release on many of those goals. We saw it in play early and often against the St. Louis Blues. Did just a phenomenal game for him, and a big convincing win for the Winnipeg Jets against the St. Louis Blues. Returning home now, Winnipeg, from that 4-game road trip where they played Vancouver, Calgary, Minnesota, and St. Louis. You got Pittsburgh on the other hand, and we've talked about the struggles of this Pittsburgh Penguins team. They've battled injuries. Matt Murray's been out, although he wasn't really playing all that well. They had Crosby out for a while. A couple other guys out. Now it's Patrick Hornquist that's out due to a concussion. He didn't play the last game against Columbus, but nevertheless, Penguins bounced back from a tough overtime loss the night before against Boston to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-2 on Saturday night. But is that a sign they're really back on track? They did play Joonas Korpisalo in that game for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Not to really totally discredit that victory for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I mean, it is Joonas Korpisalo in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm sorry. I had to. I mean, it's a nice win. Okay, you finally won a game, but the backup goalie who hasn't been good for Columbus. Let's see what you can do now against Winnipeg here in this game. But I don't trust Pittsburgh. I mean, I got to see them string some wins together. You had one win against New Jersey, which we thought a long time ago was going to get you going, and then you went in the tank again. You had a 4-0 shutout win against Arizona on November 10th. Okay, a win to snap a losing streak. Maybe that gets you going. You get on a run. No, they went in the tank after that Arizona loss and lost 4 straight after that. They beat Dallas 5-1. They lose the next game. When's the last time they've won 2 in a row, this Pittsburgh team? It's been forever. And so I don't trust them. They're playing a much better, a good team on the road. In a tough environment. We know the Jets historically a very good home team. It's continued this year. They're 8-2, 1-1, 8-4 overall at home this season. So I would only take Winnipeg here at minus 145. It's not exactly cheap, but minus 145 is the way I'm going to go here with the Winnipeg Jets. I'm still going to take it at that price. You can even take regulation line if you want to get a little more value and a little more bang for your buck, but I'll be on the Jets here in this game at the minus 145 price. I got to see Pittsburgh win 2 in a row before I can believe it, and I got to see them do it against a team that's not playing their subpar backup goalie in net. As was the case with the Columbus Blue Jackets the other night when they played this Pittsburgh team. So Winnipeg for me in this game. Alex B. Smith, let's get to you. Jets hosting the Penguins. Can the Penguins finally win 2 in a row here?
Probably not. I'm not going to be looking to see who wins this game. I can't trust either one of these teams. Definitely can't trust Pittsburgh with everything they've got going on. But this Jets team has been kind of topsy-turvy as well, too. So the way I'm looking at here, I've been looking at the Jets team total over at 3.5. You can get it around plus 120 in a couple of shots. We're seeing them get a ton of shots off in games. Just looking back at their last 49 shots against Vancouver, 40 shots against Calgary, 28 shots against Minnesota, and 36 shots in that insane 8-4 game that they won against St. Louis in their last meeting. Or you look at, Pittsburgh has been a team that has given up a ton of shots. They've given up 37 or more shots in 3 of their last 4 games. So we're going to see some goals here. I don't know if we're going to see them be balanced one way or the other, but I think we can count on the Jets. Like I said, Line with a hot stick right now. I think we can count on this team to get 4. But I'm also looking at the first period over. 6 of the last 7 games for Pittsburgh has gone over in the first period. 3 of the last 4 have gone way over for Winnipeg. We've almost seen full games go over in the first period for Winnipeg in some of their games. So first period over, you can get that at minus $1.30 on the 1.5, and also be on Jets team total over 3.5.
All right, like in first period over 1.5, Jets team total over 3.5. Alex B. Smith with the Penguins taking on the Jets in that game. Let me see. That's it for everybody in that game. All right, we move on to Vegas and Chicago. We've got Vegas minus 120, minus 125 road favorites. The total 5.5 across the board, and really, for the Golden Knights, they're showing some signs of life lately. I mean, they're not all the way back yet. They're not even close yet to the team they were last year, obviously. But they're starting to put things together, play a little bit better, score some goals, do a better job defensively, keep them up. Remember, offense was the issue for the Golden Knights early in the season. They're finally starting to show some things offensively. Pacioretty, I criticize Pacioretty all the time. I got to give him credit now for the first time in a while. He's scoring goals. He's playing better lately for the Golden Knights, and obviously having him live up to what the Golden Knights were hoping for when they got him from the Montreal Canadiens. He started to produce a chip in offensively for this team. Now you go on the road, face the Chicago team that, I don't know, just can't get out of their own way. However, they are coming off a stunning comeback victory against the Florida Panthers on Saturday night. Give them credit for that. 5-4. They come from behind and beat the Florida Panthers, and a game that I think Florida kind of fell asleep because Chicago really came after it in the third period and dominated when they were down by a couple of goals in that game and rallied all the way back to beat the Florida Panthers. So we'll give them credit for that. I'm going to have to see Vegas go on the road and play well before I can back them, especially as road chalk like they are in this game. This is a team that's only 5-9 on the road this season. That's a bit of a concern. They have played better for the most part. Their best hockey's been at T-Mobile. So I'm going to be passing on this game altogether. Lean Vegas. I like they're starting to trend up a little bit, and I don't trust Chicago, but I don't think the price is good enough for me to take the Golden Knights. Let's get to Alex B. Smith, his Blackhawks. Hey, we've been criticizing their defense, so the offense bailed them out Saturday night against Florida, coming back to win that game in overtime. What do you see for them here tonight?
Yeah, it's a nice win for them to get. I mean, like I said, there was a goal with about, I think, less than a second left in regulation to get the tie, and Eric Gustafsson had a absolutely sensational goal in overtime to get the win for the Hawks at 5-4. So riding high, got a good come from behind win. They come back home, and then they find out one of the clubhouse and fan base favorite players, Nick Schmaltz, gets sent to Arizona. They were interviewing guys, and I was hearing some clips, and most notably Patrick Kane. The guys, they did not seem happy about this trade happening. Everybody was really shocked, including Schmaltz himself. I like this trade personally. I think Dylan Strom's the guy who might, obviously, like I said, he was a third overall pick. He's the guy who could probably use a change of scenery. Might wake him up. He's also was former teammates in Erie of the OHL with Alex Brinket. Those two were sensational together. So hopefully they can, get some of that chemistry back that they had with the Erie Otters. And do something with this offense, like you said, that's been mostly stagnant for a while. But I'm looking at Vegas here. They're trending well. Won 3 in a row, 4 of their last 5, I should say. Like I said, it's a Hawks team that you can't really trust them. You definitely can't trust them at home. Going back a few years, even before things have been broken up and the Coach Q stuff and all this, the Hawks have had some games at home where they started off slow, and then the crowd was just super quiet. It was almost like, it was a library feel to some of these games. And that's when you saw some, below average teams, your Arizonas and your Ottawas and some of these teams just come in and steal a win out of the United Center. So for as much as we want to talk about home ice advantage, I've always had the Hawks ranked much lower in the home ice rankings because there's just some games where the energy's not there. If it's not Detroit or Minnesota or St. Louis, there's just some games where it's just, hey, they're kind of sleepwalking and it falls from the crowd down to the ice. So I think this could be one of those games here, and to only laying $1.20, $1.25. I'm going to take a shot with Vegas here.
All right, looking at Vegas minus 125. Alex B. Smith in this game. Yeah, someone in the chat asking the GSAA, what's a really good GSAA plus 32? No. That's incredible. That would never in a million years happen. A really good GSAA number is anything plus 9, 10, 11, anything plus double digits really. Is an off the charts GSAA. That means you're goaltending at an extremely high level. And the guys there's 2 goalies in the league that have a GSAA stat of plus 10 or better. 2. Number 1 is John Gibson, 11.1 plus 11. That's not a surprise. I mean, he has been phenomenal for the Ducks. And the second is Frederick Anderson for the Toronto Maple Leafs, plus 10.15. So these are the two goalies that are the cream of the crop in terms of the league right now, in terms of difficult saves. They're making them most of the time. That's what the GSAA measures. And Gibson and Anderson at the top of the list when it comes to goalies that are absolutely getting the job done right now in the league. The top two in terms of GSAA. Dallas, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 135, total 6 shaded to the under. Boy, it did take long for the Ken Hitchcock bloom to come off the rose. Holy mackerel. 2 losses in a row after that first win against the San Jose Sharks. They completely flat out blew one against the Anaheim Ducks. 1-0 lead. The Anaheim ties it with mere seconds left, and then they win in overtime 2-1, and then they lose to the LA Kings, and it's pretty hard to lose to the LA freaking Kings. The Edmonton Oilers somehow did on Sunday night. So all of a sudden we're questioning ourselves again. Where do we go from here? That uptick with the new coach lasted one measly game. They've now lost 2 in a row since then. We'll see how things go for the Edmonton Oilers here tonight against this Dallas team. I know I'm not willing to lay $135 to find out how they do in this game tonight. Dallas, on the other hand, I don't really love the way this team's played in terms of their consistency. I mean, they're up and down. They've been most of the season. They lose in Colorado. They almost blow it against Ottawa. They're not really playing all that sharp for me to back them either, but it's a really pick your poison kind of game for me. So I'll leave it to anyone else that's got an opinion on this game, and I believe both Andrew and Alex do. So let's get to Andrew here. Stars and the Oilers in this game tonight. Andrew, what do you like?
Yeah, you know what? I've been told this before, guys, and someone in the chat, very nice, and I don't mind getting comments like this, but someone saying I'm a little bit too serious sometimes. Well, I got a joke for you right now. The Edmonton Oilers. I mean, holy shit. This is a team 5-2 loss against LA, and then a 2-1 loss before that to Anaheim. I mean, these are two teams that I'm just completely betting against more often than not. And of course, Edmonton, leave it to them to go out and just absolutely get destroyed by them. And don't get me wrong, that 2-1 loss against the Anaheim Ducks, that's just an Anaheim-styled win. I mean, Edmonton didn't have possession in that game whatsoever. They embarrassed themselves flat out. This is a team. I'm looking down their schedule right now. 4-2 loss to Washington, 5-2 Tampa Bay, 4-1 loss to Florida, 4-1 loss to Colorado, 4-2 loss to Calgary, 6-3 loss to Vegas. I mean, this team is embarrassing. It's flat out embarrassing. I mean, wouldn't it be nice, guys? Wouldn't it be nice if there was some guy playing on the Devils that might be a great fit with that team, and maybe they could trade him for a decent defenseman? Oh wait, they traded away Taylor Hall. Oh wait, also Jordan Eberle. I mean, it's just a disgrace. I mean, let's not forget, guys, how much we're paying $6 million a year for Milan Lucic to go out there and pretend he plays hockey, because I don't know what he's doing out there, because it's not trying to score goals. I mean, this guy's. I've been told that he's literally been watching junior tape of himself. What kind of guy in the NHL watches highlights of himself in junior to try and get their scoring mojo back? I mean, I don't know if he's trying to make a joke about that or what's going on with that. But anyway, so there's your joke for you guys today. It's a little bit early for me, but there's your joke. This Edmonton team, their depth, because I got, you know what? I was listening to a sports radio show the other day, and they're saying that, is there a chance that after his contract's up that Connor McDavid leaves this team? And my mind was blown. I was like, wow, I never even really thought about that. But it's at the same time, guys, with the way sports is moving these days, and I always defend hockey, but with your Kevin Durant of the world and different players like that, you never know where all stars are going to want to go. And now with the team that they're building around Connor McDavid, when Leon Draisaitl is the big guy next to you and your partner in crime, I think that's a little bit worse than your Backstroms, your Malkins, guys like that. So I think that, if you compare the top lines, they're hurting quite a bit. But to get to my pick, I'm liking the under. I don't think either of these teams can score consistently right now. Dallas has no problem winning lower scoring games. They can score, but I love their goaltending right now. Their defense has actually looked pretty good recently. And Edmonton, I just don't trust them to win higher scoring games. If they're going to clamp down, it's going to have to be defensively. I mean, we've talked about Hitchcock saying he wants to, step things up, make the ice smaller, get the puck in the center's stick a little more often. But for me, it's going to be an under in this one. It's going to be a lower scoring game. We're still getting a 6. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, Edmonton's been a higher scoring team, but we haven't seen any 5.5s with them. But I think a 6 spot here. This one stays under.
All right, under the total for Andrew in that game, Dallas and Edmonton. Alex B. Smith also involved with the Stars and the Oilers. Very nice. There's your comedy from Andrew. You wanted comedy. He brought it.
Love it.
Yeah, it was a great rant. Yeah, he brought it with that, definitely. Alex B. Smith, Stars and Oilers. What do you like?
Yeah, and Andrew, well said on everything with Edmonton. I mean, this is a team that you just can't trust them right now. They definitely don't deserve to be favored against anybody. And with the comment with Connor McDavid, I think the city of Edmonton would collectively lose their shit if he ends up deciding to leave or gets traded. I can't imagine. I mean, it would be pretty much Gretzky all over again if he were to ditch town. But hey, it could happen because, I mean, this is a team that we had pegged as a possible Stanley Cup contender a couple of years ago, and now they're just kind of floating around in oblivion. And now they're playing a Dallas team that, give them credit, a little bit. I mean, they're struggling, but if you look at their losses, they're struggling against good teams. Like, Pittsburgh, for as bad as they're playing, they, turned it on and was able to blow them out. Colorado, we talked about them. They're, a decent hockey team. So, I think Dallas tends to show up and play kind of, to their talent. And if they're playing a better team, they'll play a better game. Playing a worse team, I should say, they'll play a better game. So we're getting a plus price here. Like I said, two bad teams, but I think I trust Dallas a little bit more to step things up on the road and get a win here than I do with this Edmonton team that just seems to have no identity right now.
All right, like in Dallas at the underdog price. Alex B. Smith around plus 115, 120 in that game. We wrap it up with LA Vancouver. About even money on both sides. Vancouver minus 110, LA minus 110. Total 5.5 shaded to the over. I'm going to get in on Vancouver here in this game. I know Vancouver won in LA. I warned you on Saturday. LA can't be laying that price to anybody, and the Canucks beat them as a big dog in LA. I think they can beat them again because LA's been terrible on the road. I don't trust them here in this spot. And Brock Besser likely to be back for the Vancouver Canucks tonight. And actually, Vancouver was playing pretty decent hockey. Their best hockey was that stretch before Besser got hurt. They were starting to win games and string a few wins together, play some of their best hockey. They get him back, likely to get him back at least tonight. A huge boost to this team offensively. Obviously, it goes without saying. And again, at home, Vancouver does actually have a pretty decent home record. I believe they have a winning record at home, this Vancouver team, 5-4. At home this season. I know it's revenge for LA. They lost at home to Vancouver Saturday. I don't care about revenge. I think Vancouver's still a better team than this LA group right now. I'll take Vancouver minus 110 in this game. All right, that's going to wrap up the breakdown of the card. We have best bets now to wrap up the show. Let's start with Alex B. Smith. What do you got for a best bet on this Tuesday card?
I had a lady once tell me, she said nothing good happens in the span of 20 minutes, but clearly she doesn't bet NHL first period totals. I'm going with the over 1.5 with Winnipeg and Pittsburgh minus $1.30.
That's a really good line there. That's absolutely. Of course, first period overs, there's your answer. Or first period bets, there's your answer. 20 minutes, you can make something good. Andrew McGinnis, best bet.
There's only two spots out for it, guys, but I mean, it's going to open up at either 6.5 or 7, but I'm going to look at under in the Ottawa-Philadelphia game. I think that, again, these two teams are going to be hammered on the over as the day progresses, which is why I think 7 will pop up in numerous spots, not just the spots that we're seeing it right now. And yeah, I'm going to go against the public here. I think, again, these two teams, we know what they've been able to score. They've been fast teams, but what are teams working on? I think right now it's Ottawa teams working on slowing the game down a little bit, up in their PK a little bit, and clogging that neutral zone up a little more. So under 7 goals for me, it's a lot of goals to score 8. I know they're two high-powered teams, but Ottawa's not going to score, go over the total in 82 games this year. So it's got to go under sometimes, and I think they're working on a lower scoring kind of style these days. So give me the under 7 in Ottawa, Philly.
Boy, I mean, if it's 7, I can't even get that over. There's no way I could bet over 7. I don't care what kind of, even though they're 17-5 to the over, 7 is not. That's not a number I'm betting over the total. I don't care if it's a peewee team playing defense. I can't do it at 7. Jimmy Murphy, let's get to you. Best bet.
I'm gonna go with that under 6 in the Avs spreads, man. Just ride that under streak that they have going there, and I just think this is going to be a good old school physical game, like I said, and the goalies are going to come huge as well. And I couldn't tell you who's going to win it, but I like the under for sure. All
right, liking the under with the Avs and the Preds. I'm going to go over with the Ducks and the Lightning as best bet. Like I say, I've had a couple Tampa overs during this run. And I know Gibson's always a concern. Anaheim's offense is a little bit of a concern, but there's a 5.5 at Heritage, and that's the one I'm going to use. There's a lot of 6s, but shop for that 5.5. Heritage has it. I'm going to go Anaheim, Tampa Bay over 5.5 minus 118. That will be my Tuesday best bet for the NHL Ice Guys. That's going to wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Great show as always. We'll be back Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis, and Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Good luck with all your bets on this Tuesday night card. We'll see you again Thursday for our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys.